Dr. Chu, this morning we've talked a little bit about nuclear, we've talked about coal and other technologies, but we haven't talked about solar. Last year, Senator Bingaman was kind enough to host a hearing in Albuquerque, New Mexico, on the potential of solar thermal plants. There are some experts who believe that the southwest of this country is, in fact, the Saudi Arabia for solar energy, and that we have the potential to produce 15 to 20% of our electricity from these solar plants. Right now, on the drawing boards, there are probably a dozen different plants that are being talked about. Some are pretty far along and ready to go. But because of the current crisis in the flow of credit, many of those plants are not moving forward. My first question, therefore, is would you be willing, as Secretary, to sit down with the solar industry and myself to see the role that the government can play in expediting the development of solar thermal plants?
Senator Saunders, I definitely would be willing to do that. I share your enthusiasm. Ultimately, going forward, solar energy is a great resource in the United States, and we need to learn to exploit that.
And you see potential in solar thermal plants in particular?
I see great potential in solar thermal
Thank you.
plants.
States like California and New Jersey have been very innovative through tax credits, through incentives, in encouraging people to put photovoltaic units up on their rooftops. Can we learn something from those states in terms of federal policy in creating an energy system in which people all over this country are encouraged to have solar panels on their roofs and businesses as well?
Well, it would be foolish of me to say that the rest of the United States can't learn something from California.
Good.
Although the rest of the senators might think differently. But in any case, I think there are a number of policies in California that have been proven to be very effective. Solar is one of them, the encouragement to put solar panels on rooftops. But let me go back to they have done wonders in promoting energy efficiency in California. In the last 35 years, the use of electricity per person in California has remained constant, while the rest of the United States went up over 50%.
Not in the state of Vermont. We have done a very good job in energy efficiency as well. Let me ask you this question. As you well know, the federal government is a major consumer of energy in the military, in all of our buildings and all of our vehicles. It has seemed to many of us for a very long time that the federal government can play an extraordinary leadership role in moving toward energy efficiency and moving toward a variety of sustainable energies. Can you give us some idea of how buildings and federal fleets, and perhaps your work with the military, how at the end of the first Obama administration our buildings and fleets will look differently than they are today?
Well, Senator, thank you for that opportunity. I think let's start with buildings. I think the energy in the United States, buildings consume 40% of the energy used in the United States today, roughly half and half between residential and commercial buildings. It's also my understanding, not only my understanding, but the Berkeley Lab has been talking and working with companies like United Technologies. We think that new commercial buildings can be built in a cost-effective way to actually reduce the use of energy in those buildings by 80%, and with investments that would pay for itself in 10 years. We are very gung-ho on developing these ideas and to prove to the construction community that this is, in fact, not just fluff, but it's real.
Good. Very good. My last question is a simple one. We have many wonderful national laboratories throughout the country. We don't have any in New England. And we think we have a lot to offer. Is that something we might be able to discuss as well?
We can certainly discuss it. And New England certainly has, it's one of the centers of the great universities in the United States.
And frankly, and also given our climate up there, when we talk about energy efficiency and learning more about that and talking about sustainable energy, it would be a good idea to have some laboratory in a climate where the weather gets 20 below zero. Burlington, Vermont, for example. But thank you very much, Doctor.